Welcome to my channel, Descúbrete y Crea, and this interview space a fuego lento, where our guests will share the entrepreneurial journey. Today, I am pleased to welcome our guest, Melitta Campbell. Thank you very much, Melitta, for accepting the invitation. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi Anna Belen. It's great to be here with you. Thank you for inviting me. It's very exciting. I'm Melitta Campbell, and today I'm a business coach known as the Value Whisperer. But I started my career in marketing and communications, but then, as for so many women, I had children and couldn't work full time and find childcare, and so I decided to start my own business. My first business was in communication consultancy. I was working with a lot of the big companies, but I was burning out of that business because although I could do the work really well, it wasn't really fulfilling. It wasn't work that really sparked something special and felt particularly meaningful. So I
Yeah.
started to look for something else that I could do and use my skills with. And then I noticed that there were lots of other women like myself, particularly in the expat community, who couldn't work full time around their family, so had started a business. But while most of these women were incredible experts, they had master's degrees, PhDs, a leadership level, career experience. So they had all the skills to really help people and do a lot of great in the world. And they were really excited by that. But they were struggling to communicate the value of what they offered. So they couldn't get the clients that they needed. And that's where I saw I could use all of my skills and experience to help them. So that's what I'm doing today.
When the idea of becoming an entrepreneur first spark in you? I-
Great question.
Oh,
So I started my first proper business as an adult 17 years ago when my first daughter was born. She was 4 months old. And it
uh-huh.
was the point where I had to go back to work and I realized that I just couldn't. So I just had a conversation with someone, so maybe I could just, I don't know, write a newsletter for people in nap times. And she was like, "Oh, I know someone looking for
Uh-huh.
someone to write a newsletter." So she
This
put
is
me
the
in touch. It was someone that I already knew. So they were happy to work with me, and then the rest was history, as they say. But actually, I started my first company or business. It wasn't really I didn't really think of it as a company or a business actually, but when I was 14, I
Ooh la la, very early.
I used to run coloring competitions and drawing competitions in a pony magazine because I loved drawing. I loved horses and ponies, and I would charge people 25p to join to enter the competition, and then I would judge them and I would send them a rosette base and uh, if they won. And then all the money I put to charity. So I raised, I think it was about £250, which back in the 80s was quite a lot of money. So I think that was really the first entrepreneurial thing that I did. And I also, the year later, when I was 15, I started a business at school. There was a young enterprise scheme that they used to
Yeah.
run in Wales where you could start your own business and the organization would help you. You had to give each other roles and you had to have a budget. Um, and me and my friends were thinking, well, what could we sell that we knew all of our friends at school would love to eat, so or love to buy? And so we went for chocolate. So
Yeah.
chocolate and crisps at break time. The school gave us a room where we could sell, and we decided that instead of everything, I think everyone else gave shares away so that they could raise the money to get started, and we decided we didn't want to give any money back.
Yeah.
So we asked our parents for sponsorship. And so they each sponsored us some money, and then we could use that to get started, and we didn't have to give any of it back. Yeah, we made, I think, £500 each, which felt like so much money. We felt like millionaires. And we won the prize for the most profitable young business in the country.
Yeah.
So, yeah, our method worked.
I would like to know what specific area of coaching do you focus on?
Yeah, so I'm a business coach, but I don't really like That, yeah, when you work with a coach, the coach helps draw out your pre-existing knowledge. But as a business coach, often the people I'm working with don't have pre-existing knowledge around business and marketing and sales. So
Mhm.
some of what I do is coaching. Some of what I do is more mentoring. Some of what I do
Okay.
because particularly around the marketing and communication side of it, nobody is trained in how to communicate effectively. And when I'm in my corporate career, towards the end, I was specializing in internal communication, and I coached the top leaders of one of at the time, it was Europe's largest financial organization. So I coached the top 60 leaders in how to communicate with their team internally.
Okay.
And I realized that most of them were scared about doing it because they didn't know what to do. They had never been taught, how do I communicate? How do I engage
Ah.
with other people? And
Mm-hmm.
so they didn't know how to go about it. So a lot of them just wouldn't communicate at all. Um, so we've all had these bad bosses who hide information and stay locked in their room. And often,
Uh-huh.
from what I discovered was that's not intentional. They're just really scared of doing something badly, and then you assume, or they have imposter syndrome. Basically, they are worried that you'll find out. They don't know
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing.
Yes, yes,
Knowing
yes.
that people aren't trained in communications, and I've since worked and trained with a lot of communication professionals and marketing professionals, and most of them haven't got any formal qualifications either. So even people in marketing and communications haven't necessarily been taught how to do marketing communications.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely an element of teaching people, filling that skills gap. And then a big part of what I do is mindset coaching. So I'm certified mindset coach as well, because it's one thing knowing what to do, and there's something else doing it, particularly if you're doing it for the first time. And anyone that's
Yeah.
starting a business, there's a lot you're doing for the first time.
Yes.
And you all know
Yeah.
this, but you always throw yourself into, oh, I don't
Yeah.
know how to do this. And then you get really excited. You're one of those rare people, I think, that it gets excited
Yes.
about learning something new. Most people are so worried about getting it wrong, but you have to get it wrong. Otherwise, you don't learn how to get it right.
Exactly. That is my new philosophy. I'm talking about the philosophy. In the context, what is the philosophy or mission that guide your work?
Mm. So I'm quite introverted and I grew up very shy. And so it kind of feels a bit weird that I'm in the communication and marketing space, because that's not necessarily where you think about finding introverts. But actually, there's a lot of us in this space, because what we do like to do is reflect and think and take our time to communicate the meaning. So a lot of people put information out, but there's two sides to that. There's the information, and then there's the interaction. What do people do with that information? How does it make them think and feel? And how ready do they feel to take action on that information? And that's the
Uh-huh.
bit that a lot of people miss. They put out the information, but they don't think enough about the interaction. But I think introverts are very good at thinking things through to the point of, well, if I put this out, what's going to happen with it? And so that process is quite natural for us as introverts. And that's the same process people go through with their marketing, with their sales. It's not just putting information out there, but helping people interact in a way that's going to help them get the answers and solutions that they need. So I feel that a lot of the introverts do very well in this marketing and sales space, but we don't think we have the skills, because what we think is marketing and sales is
Mhm.
very opposite to what feels comfortable for us. It's not about being pushy and aggressive or slick or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
my philosophy that I'm trying to get out there is that it's not about being louder, but about
Yeah.
resonating deeper. And I think
Ah,
that's where
nice.
we have like a real superpower. So that's where I'm coming at this sort of business coaching and communications marketing space, from this idea that it's all about creating a real connection, building relationships, and really resonating with your ideal client.
I know, are you write a book? Could you tell us about the book?
Yes. So my book, just behind me here, A Shy Girl's
Yes.
Guide to A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking. I wrote that 4 years ago, um, because I became, although I grew up shy when I moved to Switzerland, everything is done through networking. And so, although I'd been avoiding networking so hard when lived in London, and I didn't necessarily need to because I had
Uh-huh.
pre-existing frameworks and relationships, so I didn't necessarily feel the need to network. But here it's how everything is done, and it's the worst place to learn because you don't know what language anyone speaks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was really, really hard for me, but I had to learn the skills. And as soon as I decided that I have to find a way to do it that feels comfortable for me, I created what I now call my victory formula, and it helped me change the rules of engagement to so I could show up really comfortably and have great conversations and add value. Then my network grew really quickly. I became known for my network. People started asking me to speak and share my philosophy and help other people to network with confidence. But when I stood on stage and I called my presentation A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking, everyone's like, but you're not shy. You can't see how I'm feeling on the inside. I was
Yeah.
terrified. But it was really resonating with people. So I decided to turn it into a book so I could help more people who felt like me. And I know there are a lot of books out there on networking, and I've read so many of them. And they have some, most of them have some really great um tools and advice and that I still use to this day. But the one thing that I felt was really missing, particularly
Mhm.
for people who don't like networking and feel awkward and uncomfortable, it didn't really help them with the mindset side. It didn't help them figure out, well, how could you show up that would feel comfortable? So I wanted to write a book that would cover that first and then go into, well, this is what to do before, during, and after a networking event to make it successful, and also look at how you can use networking to build your personal brand and how you can network online, which, by the way, if you're wondering, is the same as doing it in person, but people treat, how do I network differently online? It's like, you don't. It's
Uh-huh.
still, you're still building relationships and having conversations. So I cover off those points as well. So it's only a little book, it's just 100 pages, but it's been lovely since I've put that out in the world that I get messages all the time from people saying that it's literally transformed their life because now they can show up comfortably. They are enjoying networking for the first time and making connections, and they've created their own set of rules to make that feel really comfortable and enjoyable for them. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's really exciting. And I'm currently working on my second book,
Second
so I'm
book.
excited to. Yeah, the second book was going to be A Shy Girl's Guide to Marketing, which
Yeah.
if I was going to write a whole series of Shy Girl's Guide to. But then every time I wrote it, it felt like a textbook because it was looking at, well, what is marketing? And it was very, yeah, it just always felt like a textbook. And um,
Yeah.
so I never got very far with it. But since over the last sort of 2, 3 years, I've refined my philosophy. So this idea about is not being loud, it's about resonating
Uh-huh.
into a process I've called value whispering. So the title of the book is The Art of Value Whispering. Um, Although some people have been saying, no, it's not clear enough. It should be like um, having quiet impact or something like that, that's a bit more obvious. But there are lots of other books on that. So I think value whispering, I might just go for it. It'd be better to go for it because that's my thing, right? So,
Yeah.
and it's going to take people through the 3 steps of value whispering, which is understanding your true value, then weaving that through everything you do so you naturally stand out. You don't have to be loud or pushy or invest a lot of money into advertising and things like that. And then the third part is the self leadership. So, this self
Mhm.
belief and confidence, which has to go hand in hand with everything else that you're doing so that you can show up comfortably and consistently, which is
Uh-huh.
to do to succeed. So, yeah, I'm almost finished with that. My publisher is already editing the first half of the book. So yeah, I'm excited.
Hi, we too. Melita, many of our listeners are in this that phrase of I want to start, but I don't know where to begin. What advice would you give to women who dream of starting their own business but don't feel ready yet?
Yes. Well, I think, when I was talking to my best friend about having a family years ago, I was like, well, the timing's not right. And she said, the timing is never right to have a family. It's never going to be perfect. You're never going to feel ready. You just have to go for it. And it's the same with a business. You're never going to feel ready. I think you could study entrepreneurship for 10
Mhm.
years and start your
Then,
business and
uh-huh.
then realize, oh, what I actually need to know is all of this.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Uh-huh.
yeah. So I think what I think holds people back is when they don't feel ready, is they're thinking too big. They're thinking, oh, I
Uh,
need to have like the business and I need to make $1 million in a year and I need to whatever.
mhm.
But that's not how things are in reality. So I think dream big, but start small. Start small, start
Good.
something really tiny that you could do that is a small step in the right direction. And so you can start to build that belief that you are capable of making things happen. And then you grow from there. Suddenly, if you start with something you feel quite passionate about, you'll start to see what value that represents in the world and how other
Mhm.
people react to it. And you'll start to see, oh, I could use this value in this way. And I'm really excited about that. So let me try this next, because it's all a series of little mini experiments. And as we said earlier, getting things wrong. So
Yeah.
figure out how to get things right. So I think it's just a case of getting started. I have a podcast. It's now called The Art of Value Whispering. It used to be called the Driven Female Entrepreneur Podcast. And
Okay.
on that show, I've interviewed more than 200 business owners. And where they start is never where they end up for
Yeah.
so many reasons. When they get started, they realize what they thought they'd love, they didn't like. They realize they had more capabilities and skills than
Mhm.
they thought before. Things change, but you can't get started until you start. So if you start somewhere, then enjoy
Mhm.
that process. But so that's the first thing is just start anywhere. Don't have any big goals or aspirations. Just learn for yourself. Just use it as a bit of an experiment, but also find a network or a community. And it could just be one other person who is doing the same thing, because you will find it's quite isolating being running your own business because you're on your own. And
Yeah.
there aren't that many people doing the same thing. And I think particularly for women, I see men have business owners in their network, whereas most women don't. So often we're starting from below zero. So use LinkedIn, use Facebook, reach out to other people who are doing what you do, and just invite them for a coffee and say, look, I'm starting in this space. I don't know what to expect. I'm a bit nervous. Would you
Uh-huh.
like to have a coffee? And I can guarantee you they will all say yes, because we've all been there. We all know how important it is to have some kind of support and community. I mean, obviously you can work with a business coach like myself, but I think start by looking in your immediate network and community. If you don't
Uh-huh.
see anyone, go to LinkedIn just to get started. Because at the beginning you have so many doubts. Can I really do this?
Uh-huh.
Will it work? And once you get started, you realize those aren't the right questions and those fears aren't fears at all. So
Yeah.
um,
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I think get started, find a little tribe to support you, and yeah, you'll be amazed how.
What has been your biggest lesson as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think it comes back to what I was just saying, that you just don't know. Where you start
Uh,
isn't where you end up, and when you start, then you start to realize, oh, I could do this and I could do that. But in my first business, I burned out because I wasn't really thinking enough about what do I want? How do I want to feel
yeah.
business? And I think this is something key for women, that, it needs to feel right for us. And we need to feel we're contributing something positive to the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I
Mhm.
worked in corporate, I founded a women's network and I was on the board of the Career Women's Forum as well. And I just saw time and time again that for women, success and or feeling successful isn't necessarily about the job title or the bank balance and the income. Of
No.
course, we
Uh-huh.
want these things and we need to be earning money. But
Uh-huh.
what's more important to us is that sense of contribution. So I think knowing that that changed everything in my second business, and I've been running that now for close to 8 years, and I still feel like I'm at the beginning in the sense of I have so many more things to do. I still have so much
Mhm.
energy and enthusiasm for my work. Whereas in my first business, by 8 years in, I was really desperate to quit and get out of there. So I think that's the biggest revelation is really to really start with and tune into what feels right and what feels like you're making a positive contribution and be led by that more than what you think you should do or having a business plan and a spreadsheet and all of these things, they can help, but they're not going to help you stay in business and be successful.
Melita, where we found you? By Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and where more? You have what kind of program do you have?
You can find me everywhere. There's the
Okay.
nice thing when I started this business, I was thinking, oh, I need some fancy name and it has to represent what I do and it has to be aspirational. And I had all of these like rule or aspirations really for the name of my business. And I was really
Uh-huh.
struggling to find anything. And then I went to for dinner with some people and they'd be like, oh, where do we find you? And I said, oh, just type Melitta Campbell into anything and you'll find me. I'm the only one. And they thought, oh.
That's
I'm the only one.
easy.
So, well, my website is melittacampbell.com, and that's the name of my business. And it sounds like I put zero effort into finding a name, but
Uh-huh.
actually, it took me months to find to find my own name. I'm most active on LinkedIn, but you'll find me anywhere.
What made you Metodo unique compared to the others? What do you think?
Um, Compared
Friendly?
to other business coaches, I think there are so many amazing business coaches out there. But what makes me different is that I do have like a 30 years experience in marketing and communications and sales.
Yeah.
Um, Most don't have that, or they've kind of figured things out along the way. It hasn't. I've been studying and working in this since I was 16. So um,
Wow.
it's been my whole life I've put into
Mhm.
this. Um, I'm also introverted, so I'm not someone who's going to be loud and pushy and aggressive. And some people need that. There are business coaches out there who are very sweary. They will be really grumpy if you don't do things, whereas I'm a bit more collaborative with my clients. So if that's the kind of style, well, with my clients, we just have such a wonderful community because everybody's in that space. They're all there to support and empower each other. It's not about competition or being pushy or anything like that. So I
Uh-huh.
think it comes down to my philosophy. I think what makes me different is it's all about the resonance you have with your clients and building a genuine relationship
Mhm.
rather than just trying to get as many people in through the door as possible. And it depends what kind of business and vision you have as to which type of coach suits you. So I think those are the main things that make me different.
Mhm.
Friendly, as you say.
Is there a particular topic or idea you feel is important to highlight in the journey of female entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think this idea is not about being the loudest. I think a lot of women, particularly at first, are nervous of being visible, which you have to
Mhm.
be visible if you're going to attract clients. There's no way around that. But being visible doesn't mean you have to post every day on social media. There are so many different ways. I
Mhm.
created a little ebook. I may make it into a proper book one day with 100 different ways you can market your business. And only one of those is social media. So many other ways you can get out there.
Uh-huh.
So you don't have to do social media. But I think what makes the difference for women is following their heart, doing what feels right for
Yeah.
them,
Mhm.
and knowing that if it's right for them, if it works for them, it works, period.
Mhm.
There's so much advice out there. You must do this, you must do that, and it's complete rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You, you
Uh,
you have to do what feels right for you.
yeah. It's not easy. It's not easy, but I think that we need to do. We need to do.
Yeah, and I think that's what women are amazing at. We're so many of us are not about doing the easy thing. We have done such hard things that this is
Mhm.
something that's hard, but it's enabling us to realize our own vision, to realize success for the first time the way that we want it to be. So I think it's very exciting, but not, you have to do it for yourself, but not by yourself. I think that's really important.
Before we wrap up, I always like to give my guests a moment of speak directly with the woman listen. You already gave a lot of advice, but if your philosophy, if you put all in one word, what do you say?
In one word,
Believe?
yeah, I think oh, I can't, I'm not very, I'm a communication specialist. I have to communicate. I can't say just one word. Um, But yeah, I think belief, and actually that's my strap line, believing in your business, because I believe in your business until you believe in your business and then it takes off. My idea. So yeah, I think belief is so important. And often when I work with clients for the first time, they, women don't start a business unless they know they can add value, if they can do something important.
Mhm.
But very quickly we sort of forget that. And then we start to doubt ourselves and our abilities. But I think we compare to other people and we start to feel that we're nothing special, we're just the same as everyone else. And that's not true. The first part of my process is to help them really find that true value, what makes them different. And it's the trouble with that, or the difficulty is that we've been taught one way or another not to talk about our strengths. We shouldn't brag. We shouldn't show that we're better than anyone else. Any of our skills we should keep quiet about. And then on the other hand, we're told not to tell people about our mistakes or our failures but that leaves us in the middle feeling the same as everyone else. So
Uh-huh.
when you start your first for your business, it's really, well, I think at any moment in life, I'd encourage every woman to do this right
Mhm.
now, is really look at where are they brilliant? And no one else needs to see this. So really brag away. And
Mhm.
what mistakes have you made, but what has that taught you? How has that made you the person you are today? And embrace all of this information to really start to see just how special you are and how much amazingness you have to offer the world. And I see with my clients, once they realize this, they can't not go out and build their business and promote their
Mhm.
work, because suddenly they appreciate how much they can help other people. So I think, yeah, one word, belief, but in that one word, you want to be hearing all of that.
Yeah. Melita, could you tell us what your program is all about? What structure do you follow with your client?
My program is it's an online platform with videos and workbooks and learning and support. Then we meet twice a week on Zoom, so it's
Yeah.
still virtual, and then we meet once a year in person. We have one event each year.
Oh, it's nice to know. Do you like to tell us more about you? Something?
Um, I think we've covered a lot, but maybe one thing to mention is that sometimes people tell me that they could never do what I do. Oh, I could never, you're so courageous, you're so brave, you're so whatever. And I want to just reassure them that I am just as awkward and unorganized and whatever as everybody else. I've just learned to keep going and keep going through that. And so I don't have anything special. I have dyscalculia, I have ADHD, I'm all of these things that could be a very valid excuse not to run a business, but I've choose to use them as a strength. And I think we always have that choice. So if you're thinking, oh, I could never do what you do, not just to me, but to anyone else, you know,
Yeah.
I think take a step back and think, and challenge yourself on that, because I think if we want to do something, we absolutely can do it. And I think, as I said earlier, you were just the most amazing example of that because since we've known each other, you're just always you're creating. You've written books, you've written poetry, you've done art and photography, now a podcast, and it's like there is just no stopping you. And you're just like, oh, that
Yeah.
sounds fun. I'm just going to go and do it. And all the time, you're proving to yourself that the next level of things that you can do. And I think we can all learn from that.
Thanks. Thanks. Oh, thank you very much, Melita. One more again. Thank you very much for your time, your story, and all the valor you share with us, with all the community. And thank you to everyone to tuning in. Remember, every business story begins with an idea and the courage to believe in it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Thank you very much, Melita.
Thanks, Anna Ellen.
Bye.
Bye.